Guys, you know how I operate. Nothing screams a super powerful PC like a nuclear reactor just waiting to melt down in your room. And as you know, I loved from day one Deepcool CPU coolers just because of their design on these pumps. And they have improved that yet again. And I am excited. So we have the Captain 240 Pro. And I've always loved these designs here. But take a look at this bad boy. So we have addressable RGB lighting. We have the nuclear reactor look with color. So I mean, we can make this go from like orange to red to yellow just to really show like we're doing meltdown just for the fun of it. We also have the light ring around the top edge just to add a little extra thing. I love this pump design, guys. This is Deepcool's own special pump design with the block. We also have the addressable RGB on the fans, which is really great. MSRP of $140, which puts it pretty well in the pack of other full RGB coolers. So yeah, really like that one. Also, we have now an addition to the Captain series. So the Captain already has a 240 and a 280 millimeter. Well, now they have a 360 millimeter. And I said Captain, I meant Castle. Castle. So the Castle 360 RGB. Now, guys, look at this block right here. Let's get in close to this dude. I mean, they've got this kind of tunnel thing going on, and then that ring in the inside, and it reflects off the edges. This thing looks sharp. It just looks really good. There's just something unique about it. This block is really huge too. Both of these guys can handle Threadripper on the size of the blocks, which is good. Of course, we got the same RGB lighting effects on the fans. 360 millimeter radiator to help with that extra cooling. MSRP of $170 on this guy, which I know when you're looking at that, you're starting to get a little steeper on the price. If you look at other RGB 360s, you're actually kind of right in the pack there with what those cost. So those are actually really good prices on these units. So, all right, guys, let's look at some cases now because we're going to be targeting a little more of a budget-friendly market this time around. You know, a couple of years ago, we got to see the Quad Stellar, and it was like, blew our minds, and it was this crazy, ridiculous case. And this year, Deepcool has new cases, but they're also being a little more friendly to our wallets than what the Quad Stellar was. We got a couple of budget options. So first off, they had the Matrix 55, and they have now a white version of that case here. So we've got good cooling space, and we've got room for radiators up top, radiators up front. We can do up to 3 fans in the front there, or 360 radiator, which is really cool. We have a tempered glass side panel here, and if we turn this guy around just a little bit so we can see, we have a nice little lighting strip down the side and some nice aesthetics on this case. So it looks great. We've got also, for those of you who like to have that little, you know, kind of action figure-y. We're not going to call it a toy. It's not a toy, right? It's an action figure or a collectible item, right? But you can put it right there on a shelf inside your PC. I've seen a lot of pictures, and people do that actually. So that's kind of a really cool idea that Deepcool is bringing about here to kind of match up with you guys. Now, yeah, you know, we still got some thumb screws on the glass panel and things, but this is a $65 MSRP case, so it's really super budget friendly. So we're not going to knock it for not having every feature we want because we've got a lot of space, a very sturdy design, and a great price. Let's continue that trend right here. So this is the Matrix 70, and this is along those same lines. Now, we're going to try to squeeze a lot of features in this case, but we're going to try to do it at a good price. So for starters, come in here close here. We got this glass panel here. Now, you know how I am. It's like, I wish we could get rid of thumb screws, but sometimes it's not cost efficient to get rid of thumb screws. We have 2 up top here and none on the bottom. So as we are working on this case here, we can get rid of these 2 thumb screws and then this panel will just slide right out. It's got a notch here in the bottom so that we can actually just set it into the notch and only have 2 thumb screws. Look at, if we can't do a quick connect latch or magnetic, then great. That's a nice little way to make that glass panel installation just a little bit easier, and I'm really happy about that. Now, well, as we can see here, we've got room for 360 or 280 millimeter rads on the top or the front. We have some airflow to get into here, and if we come just a little bit back on this angle here, you can kind of see here in the front we've got a actual tempered glass. Come over here to the front real quick. Look at that. Tempered glass front panel to see those RGB fans. Now, this guy has an MSRP of $70. Oh, right. Wait, before I, so $70 on the MSRP. So it's not going to come with the RGB fans, and that's kind of expected, but this is pretty cool. Button, front panel's off. Just press a button, front panel slides in, take the front panel, click it right back in. I'm loving these quick connect, quick disconnect panels. Those are really fun. So yeah, you know, once again, this is kind of still though a very budget-friendly case, and for $70, I feel like we've got a lot of really good features and a lot of build space. Because one of the things that Deepcool didn't skimp on, you'll notice that this radiator and fans, they are above the motherboard. They left some extra space up here so you can easily install those things. I love it when companies do that. That's a great job. Now, did you guys see this thing? This is a GPU holder to keep out from having that guard tag. As you can see, it has RGB lighting. So you know I'm already like, yes, more RGB. And this is getting ridiculous, right, guys? It was almost getting ridiculous, almost. But then something that they explained to me was like really cool. So this guy is actually, so it's, you know, it's going to have the practical benefit of holding up your graphics card, right? We have a thumb screw here. We can unscrew it. We can bring it up and down as we need to, set it to the right level. But this whole thing here is hollowed out in the back end. What is this going to do? If you have a spot to run your GPU cables up from the PSU shroud, you're going to hide those cables and they're not even going to show. You are not going to see any of the power cables running up to your power connectors on the GPU, which all of a sudden was like, whoa, that is fantastic. That is just one cool, unique way to hide some extra cable clutter, making our builds look a lot cleaner. So that is really awesome. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at another case real quick. All right, now we're starting to get into a little bit of a larger case design, a little bit more advanced on these features, but we're still being in a very friendly budget range. So Deepcool has the, I would say probably the Ma Cubes. I mean, or because I don't think I could say May Cubes, but it was sounding like the Ma Cubes here. So the name might be a little bit weird for me to pronounce, but what is really cool is some of the features on this case. So we have a very large full tower design, and what's really cool about this guy is this glass panel. We have a solid metal lever right here on the, it's not a lever, it's just a handle, but you can just pull this panel right off. It's magnetic. And I've gotten to see a couple of these things happening where we got these magnetic side panels, and I am just loving magnetic side panels. It's just, that's what everything should be. No thumb screws, no busy, working, no strenuous trying to get things on and off. Just click on, click off. Now, I understand some of the hesitations there, because obviously if you're moving cases around a lot and things, you could run the risk of a panel just falling off. And yeah, that would be a bummer if your panel just falls off your case and breaks. So that's why these cases are designed towards those who aren't trying to take these to LAN parties. This is a full-size tower. You're not really wanting to lug this thing around. So it's meant to get you in and out easily, which as a builder and as the kind of ways I've used my computers for years, that's what I love about this. So yeah, let me take this guy back off and we can come and take a look now. This guy has a ton of build room in it. So here you can see we've got our ATX motherboard. We have a ton of spacious room here in the top. Now, we don't have any mounting for radiators in the top though, even though we have all the space. But you got a solid metal panel here. You can mod it, I guess, if you wanted to. Or you can mount up to a 420 millimeter radiator on the side right here. Deepcool already has a 360 with their Castle, but you can get up to 420. You got room for 360 right here in the front. So we're talking crazy amounts of radiator room. We have our PSU shroud here that comes in a little bit short, and we have a nice little window here so you can see the side of the power supply, which looks great. We have cable management slots galore that are all rubber coated, so it's really good for covering and hiding those cables. And look at, this is one of those things that Deepcool always does great. Cable management holes completely surrounding the motherboard. Thank you. Put this, don't make me have to string an audio cable across the bottom of my motherboard to get to that spot right there. Nope, I can pull it right there. Cable management slots all the way around every time. That is fantastic. Okay, so let's come over here to this other one they've got an empty one here. So there's no included fans, nothing like that. Now you're going to kind of notice that we have this front panel here. It looks very flat, very thin, and then the fans are right here against a dust filter. So let's take a look what's going on here, because this is cool. So this panel just snaps right off, and you can see there's that dust filter right there. And if you're looking at this, you're thinking, where's the air coming from? Well, if we look here through the side, I'm going to look where I can see the camera lens right through it. I'm going to come a little bit closer. There's a space right here, and it goes all the way down. So what they've done is they've put slots in the side of this panel and floated this panel out front. And then these slots will let the air come through, but then it opens up just a little bit as a cavern right here in front of this dust filter. This dust filter you can actually wash with soap and water too when you need to. Now, this thing will obviously not have the greatest, you're not going to have the kind of airflow levels as a mesh panel will. That's understandable. But that's okay, because this isn't a mesh panel. It's supposed to be a clean, solid look. And personally, with those slots there on the side, and we have venting here as well to help with that extra airflow, this will still get you some decent airflow while also kind of adding a little bit of silence to the build, keeping it very clean, very professional looking. And for you guys that are looking for that clean professional look, then you a lot of times are willing to sacrifice the full mesh in that case. Now, another thing, that was loud. Another thing that Deepcool's got going on is these hard drive bays. So, for one, there's these nice foam pads and on the bottom here. So it's going to take out all of your hard drive vibration noise. That's great. You can put the hard drive in the case there. You'll screw it into the sides, and then it kind of rests on the foam pads in the bottom. You can also stick it right here in the top and mount it like that. Now, that said though, if we come in here just a little bit closer, you're going to see these weird little wings sticking out. And you're like, okay, well, that must be so you can mount that hard drive to the case. Yeah, mount that hard drive to the case. It's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to mount this hard drive to the case. You're going to mount this hard drive to the case. You're going to mount this hard drive to the case. This is a 120 by 120 millimeter mounting setup. So anywhere that you have a fan slot, you could mount this cage to a fan slot. That's really cool. And honestly, if you are setting up a lot of hard drives in that kind of workstation, then having that ability to use up these open fan slots if you don't have liquid cooling is a great option to take advantage of all this extra room in the front. Or, you can take the solid state drive approach. You still have two SSD mounts in the back. and one right here in the front. And if you have an M2 drive, then just put a liquid cooling reservoir right here in the front and make it all liquid cooling. I mean, come on, guys. We can get really creative here, right? So, yeah, this is fantastic. The really cool thing, too, is the black version of this case is going to have an MSRP of around 110 bucks. The white version, a little bit more at 120. Considering the size and the build quality, and once again, very sturdy, rugged design, full-size tower like this, that's a really solid price there. So, yeah, and if you ever happen down the road, like not right away, but way down the road, catch a sale, then you're just going to be talking about a steal, and that's what's really cool. So we might have just saved the best for last. Okay, maybe it doesn't have RGB, but we have raw cooling performance. So Deepcool is announcing the Assassin 3 CPU cooler. This beast of a cooler has 7 heat pipes, double towers, dual 140mm fans, all that to help really tackle that CPU heat. So yeah, we've got Deepcool's fan, which has the dual blades technology that they put in there to help with that extra airflow. And yeah, it looks really cool too to have that little bit of edge on the fans. Of course, when the fan's spinning, you can't see it, and you know, then there's that. But hey, it still looks cool. In the end, we also have some spoilers. Let's look at this cooler real quick. So if we come over here, you can see they put these spoilers on top of the towers here, and this does 2 things. So one, it's hiding those heat pipes so it looks cleaner, which is great. But it's also helping direct that airflow across the cooler, not letting it disperse as much out, which, you know, in theory should help a little bit with cooling performance. But in the end, the proof is always in the numbers. Now, we don't, this is like performance-based professional cooling. We don't have RGB lighting. We don't have tons of fancy colors. We have a very clean, slick, professional aesthetic on this cooler. Now, can it handle heat though? Well, we are running a stress test right now on an i9 9900K. Each one of these clocks is clocked out to 5 gigahertz, all right? All 8 cores at 5 gigahertz. And so we're looking at a socket that's only 72 degrees Celsius. The CPU package is showing about 92 right now. Considering this is air cooling, we are at 5 gigahertz on all the cores. Yeah, that's some impressive looking cooling performance to me. I mean, that's pretty awesome. So guys, you know, check out that Assassin 3. I know there's a lot of you guys out there that love air coolers. Oh, and you like air coolers because they don't make a lot of noise. The 140mm fans only spin at 1500 RPMs max. There is an included low noise adapter, and that thing will max out the fan RPM to around 1000. It's going to be really low noise. I mean, right now, if this thing running at practically full speed, I can barely hear it. So it's a very silent sounding CPU cooler as well. And they're even including accessories like a really good long shaft screwdriver so you can easily install that thing. These screwdrivers are like gold if you work on your PC all the time. So I love these guys, and when they include those things. That's all I've got for you for Deepcool. We are almost done with CES. I will catch you soon.